It's also your responsibility to go down to do and mobilize and do like Honorable Ngala Gerard, that I respect so much, has done in Kambe. The parliamentarians in the BLM, the politicians, we should go to the BLM. We are taking our responsibility and we are improving. People should take their responsibilities and stop holding government. Children going to school is not a government issue. It is a sustainability, a development issue. It's the future. So the people who are in the bushes, those of us, all of us who are in the bushes in the night and in the morning, we are in town moving up and down and saying that sincere dialogue, it will not help us. I crossed from Boya to Douala this afternoon. When I got to across the Mongo, there was some air, some life and functional things. The other way, it is dead. People have a very destructive side. They are waiting for what nobody knows. They are waiting for a major. You keep children in the house. In 2016, children who were in Form 1 in 2016 were still running A-level and go to Enam, Emia, ENS, and come back as administrators of their friends who are in the bushes, who are in the villages, not in the bushes, because there's nobody in the bush. We are the people in the bush. A child who enrolled in university in 2016 has completed master's degree as we speak. And with a master's degree, you can even be a teaching assistant in the university. So those who did not go to school, they may come to the university to come and meet their age mates teaching them. So what are we waiting for? You say the Ambas agreed, whether they agreed where, I don't know. Whether they agree or not agree does not depend on them. And I also want to add that it's not that children are not going to school. Some children in some communities are not going to school. That's the right thing to say. In some communities, children are going to school. In some communities, schools are going on, but are not very regular, which is why communities should take their responsibilities. Churches, the communities have been turned to war zones. In non-state armed individuals, non-state armed pastors, non-state armed churches, non-state armed NGOs, everybody in the community is armed. A pastor takes to the pulpit instead of preaching the gospel. You are talking about the problem, that they should solve the problem. You are an NGO, instead of providing services, you become a non-state armed NGO. You are a community worker. Whatever you're doing, everybody now is non-state armed in those regions. You sit in a public place, people are talking, you say, no, these things children should be going to do. They say, no, you are a black leg, you have been paid. By who? When children are going to school, who loses? The community, the children that you people of the so-called Southern Cameroon chased away in 2016 are all Francophones now. So who are the Anglophones of that Southern Cameroon that will come back and build the Southern Cameroons? There's nobody. You don't have citizens. All your citizens are now Francophones. So what are you people fighting for?
Yes, Dr. Nick, how do we get students out of this politicking so that they can effectively study in the southwest and northwest regions? Because he's using examples of communities that have organized themselves and children have gone to school. We have results from yes. Ordinary level and advanced levels from the southwest and northwest regions. These results emanated from communities that organized themselves for their children to go to school. How do we go beyond what we recorded last year?
We thank God for those communities that have organized their children to go back to school. We thank God for the understanding amongst the people and that they can let children go to school. That's what we all want. We want a situation where children go to school freely. We want a situation where guns are not shooting at each other, and where military people are not killed, where Amber boys are not killed, where civilians are not killed, because we are killing ourselves. And of course, you know, when these problems started, you know, you could divide the Anglophone community into 3 groups. Those people who call themselves separatists, you have federalists and confederalists, confederalists, yeah. And then you have unionists and centralists like my friend over here, who believe so much in special status and many other things. And they always, you know, even when you are expressing yourself and saying, let's solve a problem, they paint you as separatist and amber and so on and so forth, just to frighten people. But the bottom line is that, you know, even if you fill the hall with the whole place with people like Aminateh, you will never have a solution to this problem. And what I'm saying is that there's going to be a genuine and inclusive dialogue with the new government, and the problems will be solved. Thank you.
A genuine dialogue?
Yeah.
And the problem is going to be solved.
And then he says he doesn't know whom we are going to dialogue with. Don't bother you. I mean, nobody will need your help to identify them. There will be mechanisms to identify people who can come and dialogue, and the problem would be solved. Or, you know, you yourself, you are saying that people are not in the community and so on. You just need to go out there and show the right roadmap, and then get different people, mothers, children, fathers, teachers, pastors, everybody involved in the process, diaspora involved in the process. And as long as you are genuine, by genuine means you are doing things in truth and love, the problems will be solved, not this your fake things. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, but it says that we need to solve the problem before we can guarantee back to school. That is the bottom line of what you are saying.
So we can guarantee peace, effective peace.
No,
but once you have effective peace, everything else works.
We're talking about back to school. We need to solve the crisis before things can come back to normalcy.
What I don't understand is the adjectives Dr. Nick uses. What is genuine in this context? What is love? What is truth? Those words are relative in every context. There is no generally acceptable genuine. There is no generally acceptable truth by everybody. So, truth and genuine are constructed in particular circumstances to solve particular problems. And if you are saying that in the communities, people are saying that 1972, 1961, the plebiscite and everything. So are you saying that they go back and re-establish the pre-1961 status? And if that is your point, how are you going to do that? That's the question I want to know.
Okay, that's a question you want to ask. I want us to move to our next talking point, which has to do with form of the state. There are persons, Aminateh Nkemngu N, who think that the way things are going, they would prefer a federal structure in Cameroon. Others feel that we should go the confederal way, like what we obtained in Switzerland. And some think the best is what we have today, the unitary decentralized form of government, and others want outright separation. What, according to you, is the best for Cameroon today?
I think Cameroonians are better united in a unitary state than federation. Let me explain why. The word Cameroon is an illusion. Illusion in the sense that it is constructed on a map that some people came and drew. Excuse me, a map that some people came and drew. And in that Cameroon, we have more than 300 different ethnic groups who speak different mother tongues. And in human and natural resource governance, you realize too that there are variations in terms of natural resources, in terms of human resources, and all of those things. Now, with the so many tribes that we have, if you come up with a federation, how are you going to manage? For example, let me use a concrete example. A lot of Northwesterners have huge investments in the Southwest. They live freely and happily. They are part of communities. What will become of that category of people when you come and start telling them now that, okay, now you are Northwesterners and this is a federation, and in the Southwest, Southwesterners first. That is the first seed of the genocide people are looking for. Because federation will deepen divides amongst the local peoples of Cameroon. Whether you like it or not, we are a very tribalistic people. And if you give power to people, too much power at community level, they will tribalize it. And it will become a very good ingredient of war. In a unitary state, you are able to unity decentralize, like you said. The government is able, or the state is able to give the communities enough competencies that they can drive and sustain their own development. And at the same time, taking control of those things that can sow discords and lead to fragmentation that can even completely disintegrate the nation. So the concept of Cameroon, if it has to continue to exist, it has to continue to exist. It has to be, I'm calling Cameroon, it's a concept. It has to continue to exist as a pack that has been put together. Because today, we have heard so much about, oh, Northwest, Southwest, those are the things that will come up in a federation. That the hate speech is here, this and this. They are coming up because federalists are arguing that, okay, in the federation, Sonara will be for the Southwest, the Northwest will do this. Those things are already in the communities. People are already positioning themselves to make gains. And it is already creating and building hate. Concretely. In a unitary state where we are just 27 million now like this. You should be talking of good governance. That is an issue. Good governance, yes, we have governance issues in some areas. It does not in any way translate to the fact that CPDM has failed. No. We have governance issues. We have to do a rethink, especially in the area of corruption and tribalism.
Okay, Dr.
Corruption
Nick,
and tribalism and some other things.
Yeah,
not necessarily federation. Federation is it's a divisive project.
yeah, Dr. Nick, you are a militant of the CPDM party.
Yeah.
You call yourself a militant of the progressive wing of that party, and you believe that what is best for Cameroon is a confederation.
Correct.
Yes, but how is confederation going to solve our present problems, and do you see militants of the CPDM buying into that?
You see, when we're talking, when Aminateh was talking a moment ago, he rumbled, and at the end of the day, he accepted that there's a problem of bad governance. He said it, and that there was not enough to go around, that there was corruption and so on. And the bad governance and the corruption, the root cause of the bad governance and the corruption and the tribalism is the over-centralized government. That's the point. So he creates himself a problem and fails to acknowledge that the problem exists because of that bad structure. That's the thing. That's the nucleus. And the concept of federation or confederation is actually to solve that problem of corruption, to solve that problem of bad governance. Because with this current state, if you want to make your wife pregnant, you have to go and take permission from the SDO, from the DO, from the governor. That's nonsense. Be able to take care of yourself. People are not babies that you have to do what. And then, of course, when you are saying that you have to impose people on them or some, why can't they have people from their own community look after them? That's the kind of thing we're saying. You have to put power and responsibility in the hands of people to be able to address their own problems. There will be a national government, fair enough, looking over things, but don't go down to the extent that you have to spoon feed everybody. I mean, just look at our towns. They are so dirty. They are so dirty. Why? Because everybody sits and folds their arms and expecting the President Paul Biya to come and clean their streets. It was not like it was never like that. And you try to deceive people a lot. Now listen, this is how it. They try to play on the psyche of people, and this is, you see, and he brings in this northwest southwest divide, and then he does that with, he mixes it like turning cocoa. But this is it. We are going to have, during the dialogue, this genuine inclusive dialogue, though he doesn't know what genuine and dialogue and truth are, and I don't blame him. He doesn't know what truth is, he doesn't know what love is. Now listen, during this dialogue, we are going to agree on the form of state that will keep Cameroon together, and the form of state that we are proposing would be a West Cameroon state and an East Cameroon state. Then within those states, you cause decentralization. Because I know for a fact, and which is true and is real, that the people of the Southwest, they don't like the people of the Northwest, and they don't like this over suppression or this heat that the people of the Northwest generate for them. That is understandable. That's why when we already agree that it's the state of West Cameroon and the state of East Cameroon, we will cause decentralization within the state so that the people of Southwest can elect their governor, elect their SDOs or whatever we call them, elect their mayors and so on, and run their region. The people of Northwest will be able to do the same. And in East Cameroon, the people of East Cameroon will do the same. Because as of now, go and ask the people of Marwanga and so on, they think that the people of the South are breathing hellfire down their throats. But they'll be able to look after their own selves. And the beauty of it, you know, we don't even have a beautiful city in Cameroon. The beauty of it is that we'll have an opportunity to build a new capital for the people of West Cameroon, somewhere between Bacho and Widikum. And then, for the people of East Cameroon, we'll build a nice capital for them on the River Sanaga. Okay, as beautiful as Abuja. So we have to get out of this thing. It's very, very important. The bottom line again is administrators would be elected by the people, not appointed. There's going to be president and vice president that will be rotating.
You're talking about confederation?
Confederation is, yeah, that's the concept.
Yeah, but in a confederation or a federation, what are you talking about? Are you talking about 2-state federation or 10 states?
No. Forget about no. When you start mentioning that, Aminateh will bring a lot of trouble for people.
Okay.
See, no, wait. We have Cameroon, okay, and the President Paul Biya says Cameroon has to remain one and indivisible. Mm-hmm. And whether you are talking of federation or confederation, Cameroon will remain one and indivisible. But people like him, when you start mentioning federation or confederation, they give you the impression that just by mentioning that word, you are already saying you are dividing Cameroon. It's not true. They are just being very smart. Now, whether confederation or federation is basically the same thing. It's just that words mature. Before, in the 1960s, the word confederation and federation were used interchangeably. But those words have matured to mean two different things. We don't have a lot of time, but I will have the opportunity to explain that some other time. But the bottom line and the most important thing to remember is that there's going to be a West Cameroon with its new capital, not in Boya, an East Cameroon with its new capital, and that we are going to have a president and a vice president of the Republic. We are going to elect our governors and SDOs and DOs and mayors and whatever. Nobody will be appointed, so that there is accountability to the people. You know, he mentioned that the country was suffering from corruption, and this corruption is because of these people who are appointed over centralized government and so on. So these are some of the things that would happen. And you know, the hate speech that is going on now is because the economy is very bad. A few people hang on the civil service to suck it dry of juice. But we have to grow our economy and put the economy in the hands of people in the diaspora who will come and form companies and industries with our local people here, transfer technology, and do things and make things happen. Our economy must change.
Aminateh Nkemngu, we're talking about form of state, and Dr. Nick says that there are persons who think that a federation or any other form is seen from some quarters as dividing the country. But you think otherwise? If you were to go for a federation or any form, would you go for the confederation, like Dr. Nick is talking about? Would you go for the East and West Cameroon that he's talking about here?
Let me make some observation from what he said. I don't know, questions. Dr. Nick, in political rhetoric, what is the difference between decentralization and federation? In political rhetoric, decentralization and federation are almost synonymous. Now, what is the difference between our own decentralization? The decentralization code of 2019, I think December 2019, is a very good document. The challenge where we are is at the level of implementation, which is what we of the CPDM.
Yes, CPDM.
Yeah, the CPDM. Even within the party, are pushing that decentralization should be effective. All the elements provided for in the 2019 decentralization law should be effective. The law provides for communities to take back power and run their things, but where we are now, it has not been effective. So the effectiveness of decentralization will automatically come back to what you are calling federation. In political rhetoric, federation and decentralization. In fact, let me quote Professor Samson Abangma, the head of the Department of Political Science at the University of Boya. During one of the trainings on the decentralization code, he said, decentralization is a form of federation, but the ingredients may differ or vary from country to country. In our own country, we have a good law, and where we are is to push for it to be decentralized, to be implemented rather. So decentralization and federation are the same thing with different elements. The specificities of Cameroon will be in our own law. The issues of having appointed officials can be addressed when we step up the decentralization implementation to a point where some of those elements of the law can be amended. Laws are amended. But when there is need for it. Secondly, you define your federation or confederation, putting the Northwest and Southwest together. What cultural considerations did you use to put the two regions together? It is only English language. English language and Anglo-Saxonism is a vestige of colonialism, which we cannot do away with, and we are trying to modernize and fine-tune. But in doing that, you should also be sensitive to the fact that we have our specific African cultural realities, which may also not be consistent with Anglo-Saxonism or Francophonism. So, Anglo-Saxonism, you can still run Anglo-Saxonism in a unitary state. Or you can still run Anglo-Saxonism in a unitary state. And Northwest and Southwest must not be one, must not be a single state to be Anglo-Saxon. Let me take you to Nigeria. In Nigeria, they have 36 states. All of them are Anglo-Saxon. All of them have all those elements that you are talking about. Elected officials, resource control, governance, and everything. But Nigeria remains, I watch a lot of Nigerian television, TVC channels, and AIT and NTA. Nigeria is a very divided and deeply corrupt country. We of the Southwest and Northwest regions could as well have been part of the Nigerian Federation if the 1961 plebiscite went the other way. And we would have been a state under them. And going by the statistics of corruption and division in Nigeria now, we would have been worse off. Nigeria is a very corrupt country, and that's the federation that you are saying that we should import to Cameroon. There is no evidence that corruption is in Cameroon because it is centralization. No. Okay, in Nigeria where there is no centralization, why is there higher corruption than Cameroon? You should be able to investigate the issue scientifically and come out with why people are corrupt and the instruments that are put in place to check corruption. Cronyism, tribalism, nepotism, those are the factors that drive corruption in Cameroon. Not because the government is centralized. Not because the government is centralized. I differ with you on that. Going further, I estimate that what Cameroon should do, I did not say Cameroon is the most corrupt country because what I said, you have been trying to position it as if I said Cameroon is badly governed or very corrupt. No. I am saying that, like any functional democracy, in the US they have problems. They try to improve all the time. There is no perfect democracy in the world. And in Cameroon, across the year, across the board, we have realized some issues. To me, corruption, public management. Let me just say public management. And public management issues have come up because of the way our politics has evolved from 1961. From an administrative one to now a market model. We are struggling to adopt a market model and a lot of things which will come up. So you cannot say federation, confederation and things like that. And you are basing it strictly on colonial a colonial legacy. Cameroon is more than colonial legacy, English and French. That is why I want to appreciate the person who put in place the National Commission for Bilingualism and Multiculturalism. Multiculturalism are our own African elements in the commission. So there's no way you can make policy in Cameroon without taking that into consideration. And in taking that into consideration, you realize that our African nations, when I say our African nations, like the Bakossi nation, let me use that as an example, like the Bakossi nation, like the Nsah nation, like the Wimbum nation, they have populations and people that cut across regional lines. You have Bakossi people in the southwest, in the
littoral.
Probably have Wimbum people, Nsah people in the west, or the Bamun brothers. It cuts like that. You have Manfe people, Manfe, they are not on the border with the other regions of Cameroon. All along, the two regions. If you go to the other regions, you will see the same things. So when you want to build a Cameroon based on English and French, where do you keep those nations, those African nations, those, I call them nations, those nations that the white man came and met and then divided? How will you manage them? Because they will continue to function as one.
Okay.
So in your confederation project, which is even untenable, it cannot work, you should consider that English and French or Anglo-Saxonism should not be the only consideration for making policy on the form of state.
Yes, Dr. Nick, but let's stay with Confederation. How is Confederation going to address this issue of our national unity? How is it going to reinforce that?
Well, we want peace in Cameroon.
Yeah.
We want development in Cameroon. We want good governance in Cameroon. We want our economy to be up. We want to be competitive. Mm-hmm. We don't want to be, a failing nation. We want a country that grows its own food, not importing food. We need to catch up with